Small but mighty Domino. I want to acknowledge that what a journey you guys are on, right? As career students here, and it's most likely that you guys are about to embark on the very next chapter of the building of your career. And as students, this is a really exciting time, and I'm so excited for you because there's a great unknown out there, it's a great adventure, and it's a long and ongoing journey that is ever evolving, and it's full of surprises. Like I said, my name is Derek Sabori, and I've been building my career for the last 22 years, and I can assure you that it's fun, it's adventurous, and as I've been navigating the ups and downs, I can assure you that it is full of surprises. And so to the non-students that are in the audience, those of you who are a little bit further along on your career building paths, I'd like to express my excitement for you as well, because as you know by now, life is full of twists and turns, and you never know what's around the corner. So as we consider our journeys and our next chapters in the building of our careers, I'd like you to look out onto the horizon. Ask yourself a question. I want you to ask, what is it that you hope for? What do you hope that you can achieve? What do you hope that we as a collective can achieve together? And I'd like to make a presumption. I'd like to presume that maybe like me, you guys want a few things. You want to see the world in a better place. And you want to see a world that is in a state of regeneration, not deterioration. You want to see a world full of restorative and renewable innovations. You want to be working in a world where business is no longer the culprit, but the hero, positively impacting people's lives and respectfully utilizing the resources that the planet has to offer. And you want people and planet to hold equal weight in the conversation of profit. And I think you want equality. And we want others to be inspired to want the same. And I think these are honorable, inspirational, I actually hope achievable and even realistic goals and a vision. And I'd like to think that collectively here we can all agree that these would be amazing things to achieve and reach. And so I'd like to put a title on this today. I want to call this and name this the New and Bold Future. And this new and bold future is something that needs to be constructed by all of us. It just doesn't magically appear, it just doesn't pop up. This is something that needs to be built, and it's going to take all of us. And we're going to acknowledge, though, that if we need to build this new and bold future, there's something in our way, though. We've got an obstacle. There's a big, bad villain in our way that we need to acknowledge. And I call that the Old Way Tower. The Old Way Tower is stuck there, stuck right in our path. And when I look at the Old Way Tower, I consider that as a symbol for the old way of doing business. And that old way of doing business is profit at any cost. It's a short-term vision, often at the expense of others. It's a linear take, make, dispose philosophy, a reliance on non-renewables, inequality, and more. All things that we are stuck dealing with today. And what a beast of a tower this is. This tower is big, it's bold, it's intimidating, it's been around for a long time, it's got a strong foundation, but I'd like to think that it's starting to show some wear and some tear. And in order for us to build that new and bold future, I think we can agree that we need to start tearing this old way tower down, right? This old way of doing business. And so perhaps that's where some of us get stuck, though, because when we start thinking about the destruction of that old way tower to make room for that new and bold future, we think that in order to even make a dent in that old way tower, to be any sort of a force, let alone be the toppling of it, that we need to be a big force right up next to it. And for those of us that are working on our careers and building our careers, when we think of that big, bold force, we think in terms of titles and responsibilities. And so we start to think that, you know what, I need to have that title of sustainability or innovations or renewables or cause-giving marketing, something like that in my title, because I want to be a part of the new and bold future. I want to help tear down the old way tower, so I need that title. And so you ask yourself, so then how do I get from where I'm at today? How do I bridge the gap? And how do I get that title? How do I narrow in on that narrow focus? And this is where I come to you and say, guys, it's a lot of pressure. It's hard enough working into the workspace, navigating the building of your career, and then to add this added pressure. But I can see how that can be, and how you might just start to feel like, gosh, the only way that I can play a role or really be part of the impact is to have that title. So how do I get it? And so you might get that job. You might find yourself in a position where you've got a sustainability title and you've ended up being there. And you might find that you went down a career path that looks something like mine. And maybe you're here at UC Irvine and you wanted to be an architect. And you found yourself in the civil engineering department. And after a few classes, a few physics classes, a couple calculus classes, and a chemistry class that you'll nearly fail, you'll realize that engineering isn't for you. So you'll change your major to art. studio art, right here in this location. And you'll take a few photography classes, work on digital media, installation art, performance art, and more. And after graduation, you'll realize that, you know what, you're not going on to be an artist. And you're probably not going on to be a curator or a buyer, and you're not going on for your MFA. So then what? So maybe you take a hike off to Europe, and you go to Europe for 6 weeks just to think about things, figure out what you're going to do. And while a trip like this will spark a lifelong love of travel, adventure, and culture seeking, you're going to still come home not knowing what you want to do when you grow up. But it just might end up that you'll get a call from a friend from one of those art classes along the way, and she's got a job opportunity for you, actually an intern opportunity for you. She's working at a company that you've heard of, that you admire, in an industry that you are passionate about and are excited about. And so you'll take that job answering those phones at the front desk. It's for free. We'll call it an internship. And who knows, but that front desk job could lead to a part-time job and eventually a full-time job. And you're going to take that full-time job because by then, no matter what the offer is, you just realize how important it is to just get your foot in the door. And you never know, but that job could lead to a full-time job. And that full-time job, though, is going to be a welcome relief because up till that point, you've been waiting tables, tending bar, doing what you need to do to get through college, and you were working through schedules and shifts that were all over the road, so this new steady schedule of 8 to 5, 8 to 6, 8 to 7, or even 8 is a welcome and exciting relief. You're just happy to be out of the restaurant. And then that career, that job could lead to a 19-year career that will span multiple departments and multiple roles, and you might find that after 19 years and you've built your network and your responsibilities and acquired a portfolio of experience, that you have landed that vice president role, managing sustainability, environmental impact analysis, and the cause-related sides of that company's business. A really exciting thing. You never know. It could just work out that way. And you too might decide that you want another tool in your tool belt, so maybe you'll come back here to UCI again to get your MBA and just to see if that can offer something for you. But who knows? 22 years from now, maybe you'll end up here on the stage like this because you might get a call from a friend who offers you an opportunity to go start a company that is cause-related, sustainability-focused, in an industry that you admire and respect again. You take that opportunity and you realize that at the age of 45, that's the perfect age to go out and be an entrepreneur. And so you find yourself then standing up on a stage here, offering bits of wisdom that you've acquired along the way as a consultant in sustainability, as a teacher, and just somebody out to share their story. Who knows? Could happen. So if that's the case, you're still asking that question, how do I get that role then? What do I need to do to narrow in and get that focus and get that sustainability job because I want to be a part of the construction of this new and bold future, right? So somebody's going to say, you know what, go get some advice from somebody who's been there. Get some advice from somebody who has that role, who's done that job. That's your best thing. That's career mentoring 101. So you say, okay, and maybe you catch yourself with me for a cup of coffee or a beer after work, and we sit down and your question is, Derek, how do I get that role? How do I zero in an industry I love, in a brand that I love, in sustainability, or in renewables, or in cause, because I need to make an effect? That's exactly what I need to do. I need to do what you did to really have an impact in the world. So you say, how do I do it? And my answer, you don't. Well, you might not. And that's my argument for today. My argument is that not everybody has to have these roles. While these are important roles, and they're noble roles, and they're much needed roles, a lot of us get stuck, and you're not always going to find yourself there on that path. But I want you to hear me out, because I'm not trying to stomp out any dreams here. I'm actually trying to set you free from your limitations. A couple things to consider. These jobs are narrow, and they're focused, they're specialized. They can be hard to come by, and they can be quick to be downsized. I've seen it happen firsthand. And I'll tell you what, they can be a little bit lonely at times too, because there are a lot of fun things going on in the company that you might want to be a part of. And then, while you might end up on that same path that I did, life takes turns and curves as well. And you might find that you get a job opportunity in a space that's not related to renewables or to sustainability. And do you pass up on that opportunity just because it doesn't have the right focus? Or let's say your partner down the line gets a job opportunity in another part of the country, and you're off to Maine to go start fresh in your career, start over from scratch. Do you abandon your hope and that dream of being a part of the tearing down of that old way tower? You might even find yourself working in another country, across the world, working in a new, exciting industry that's not related to sustainability. So do you abandon your hope just because you've diverged and because you're off your track? You're off your track, and now what? Guys, there's one thing I'll have to tell you, that life is constantly evolving, and we are always forced to roll with the flow. So if there's one thing I want to prepare you for, it's get ready to adapt a lot. So how about if we look at things a little bit differently? And what if perhaps, no matter where you're at in your career, no matter what stage you're at, no matter what title you get, what path you're on, what role you end up with, what if we think of yourself right there in just the right spot to really be a catalyst for the toppling of that old way tower, that old way of doing business anyway? This is where the dominoes come in. See, when we think of dominoes, we often think of them lined up next to each other, chasing each other around, toppling over each other, tricks, drop-offs, bangs, pops, all in the culmination of a grand finale, a successful grand finale, we hope, right? But did you realize, though, that the small domino at about 2 inches tall, about 1 inch wide, and 1/4 of an inch thick, that little domino holds the potential, it holds the power to not only be the link in a series of chain reactions, but it holds the power to be the catalyst for the toppling of a 33-story tower. The small but mighty domino. It's full of potential, incremental, and scalable energy. And so often, like I said, when we line up dominoes, they're often lined up all in the same size, right? So we can easily overlook one fact that's really unique about dominoes. When we line them up, we overlook the fact that dominoes have this magnification and this scalability effect to them. And if I reach back to those early physics classes that I took, we'll remember that dominoes, they store potential energy, right? And dominoes have the effect to knock over a domino larger than itself. And when set into motion, it's the force of gravity that turns the potential energy in that small domino into kinetic energy. The kinetic energy overtakes the potential energy of the domino. And so long as that kinetic energy is big enough to take over the potential energy of that bigger sized domino, that will continue to happen. And each domino is heavier, bigger, can knock over an even bigger domino. This has been an approved theory by mathematicians and scientists, but it was in 2013 that this gentleman here, Professor Hans van Leeuwen of the Leiden University in the Netherlands, he set out to put together a couple calculations. You see, there was a science quiz TV show in the Netherlands, the National Dutch Science Quiz TV show. They challenged everybody with a question: how many dominoes would it take to topple their Domtoren Tower, a 367-foot church tower, the tallest church tower in the Netherlands? And for our talk today, this is the Old Way Tower. And so Professor van Leeuwen got to calculations, and he came up with a couple things, the domino magnification theory, and a couple things that I want to use and point out today. So he pointed out that that domino, that's when it is ideally set, and when it is made in an ideal manner, and for him, that was turning that domino into a hollow domino, constructing it in a hollow way so that it could avoid the issues that friction would cause, and you set it up just right, that the small, little mighty domino actually, he proved, had the power, a 2 times magnification power. So each domino could knock down another domino that was twice as wide, twice as long, and twice as high as the next one, so on and so forth, right? He also calculated then that little domino could also topple that Domtoren Tower, he proved, in just 12 incremental steps. So this little guy, the toppling of this beast in just 12 incremental steps. And so I wonder if you know where I'm going with this, because I hope it puts things in perspective. Because all of us really have the opportunity and the potential to cause real positive and lasting change, even if it's just one domino at a time. And if we go back to that jobs and title thing, perhaps that domino, that small little domino, perhaps this is your proverbial career. Without the title, without the fancy role, without sustainability or renewables or cause in it, perhaps this is your title, still full of potential, or your job, or you, full of potential. Because my belief, you guys, is that sustainability is the brand. And it's that new and bold future, the creation of that new and bold future, the toppling of the old way tower, that's the job that we are all working. And this job will take all of us, and it will take roles of all kinds. It will take creatives, marketers, finance people, yes, engineers, auditors, and more. Everybody plays a role, and everybody plays a part. This new and bold future economy, this is not just for those with the title. This is for those who are willing to show up to work and take their values with them, into the office, and not just leave them in their car, stuffed in the glove box, in the parking lot, but instead show up to work with their values, committed to the building of that new and bold future, doing what they do, despite their role or responsibility, all with that hope of the construction of that new and bold future. And so I also think that this will take all of us, because this is a team sport, and the construction of this new and bold tower takes that much. And so if there's any good news to take away from this, it's that even when you're feeling like a small domino, we all have the potential to begin the toppling of that old way tower. And even better, if we all scale up, maximize our potential, put ourselves in an ideal setting, surround ourselves with good people, it might only take 12 of us to do it. We're all small but mighty. And so despite the role, responsibility, or titles we have, the construction and the building of that new and bold future is up to all of us. It will be no easy task to tear down that old way tower. But I want to remind you that just when you're feeling like the smallest domino in the room, it just might be you that sets into motion the toppling of some of the biggest obstacles that we face. Thank you.